If you're like me, you were taught that 50-50 is fair and that's the way to do it. I remember as a kid, even if there was a piece of cake, you'd have one person cut it and then the other person could decide which piece they got. So this idea of fairness and 50-50 is so entrenched in our thinking and so embedded in how we think that it affects us and has a negative outcome. And in this video, what I'm going to do is show you how to rethink 50-50 and then also have it work in your favor. The people who change this world and change their own personal lives don't look at things in terms of a 50-50. They go all in and they look at it as a 100-100. If you and I were both working on a job and I said, I'm going to go 50 and you're going to go 50, we'd call that a job share, right? If there was an 8-hour day, you going 50 would mean you're working 4 hours and I'm working 4 hours. So combined, we're doing one job. But if we both go 100% in, that's 2 full-time positions. That's double the outcome here. And that's the difference between going 50-50 is you're only giving half of your capability, half of your potential, and the other person is matching you. Yes, it's fair, but does that lead to greatness? Does that lead to the life that you want? Or is it more of a transactional approach where we're each doing our fair share and we're each getting the same type of deal? The idea of splitting things evenly has its deep historical roots. When there was trade and we were bartering, we had to make sure that it was fair and that I could trust you and that you were honest. And that depended on your life too, because if you got multiple bad deals, well, your family might not make it. So bartering and trade and having things be fair and equal was very important. With regards to the legal aspects and the business world, fairness became the standard operating procedure because nobody wanted to be cheated. But do you want to run your life based off of math principles of 50-50, based off of historical trends of bartering and trading, based off of legal contracts and business deals? Is that really how you want to lead your life and live? Or are we different? As people, are we different? Are we not a business? Are we not a contract? Are we not just a 50-50 deal? I'm arguing that we aren't. Because when you live your life that way, it's transactional. I give you this, you give me that. You give me 50% effort, I give you 50% effort. But a better way is transformational. When we both go in 100% and we're all in, that's where the magic really happens. But so few of us really do that. We hedge our bets, and I'll go into why we do that. But we hedge our bets and we don't go all in because we don't want to be hurt, different things like that. But just think about in your life, where is it that you are having a transactional approach? You're doing your part, you're doing your fair share, but are you delivering more value than you could? Are you going all in or not? And let's look at how that can apply comparing transactional versus transformational. Transactional is about maintaining fairness. I give if you give. It's based on fairness, measurement, and reciprocity. It seeks balance to ensure that nobody gives too much. It functions well in trade, contracts, and agreements. You do your part, I'll do mine. It's really a quid pro quo agreement. This for that, and make sure it's an equal exchange. If we look at transformational, it's creating something extraordinary. I give because I'm committed to this. It's based on purpose, trust, and contribution. It seeks impact by maximizing what's possible. It creates breakthroughs, innovations, and deep relationships. I'll go all in no matter what. And this is generosity without exception. You're freely giving without conditions. If you've been watching my other videos, you know I've been talking about the Wright brothers a lot. And I love them because they show us what's possible. And in a lot of different angles, you can see what they did, why they did it, and why it was so transformational. In this video, what I want to look at is their aspect of how they went all in. They didn't care how much time they put into it. They didn't care if their body got damaged because they're test flying something and they get hurt. They didn't care how much money they put into it, of their own money. They just went all in no matter what. If there's a new prototype, they didn't delegate that to someone else. They went out and they did a test flight to see, is this going to work? How is it changing? And those types of things to see all the nuances of what's going on. Now, if you look at the other people, like I mentioned in the last video, Sam Langley, he had the best scientists, the best engineers, the best of everything at his disposal. He had government funding. But in there, it was a transactional approach. The engineers did their fair share. They did their job. The scientists did their job too. Everyone had contracts. They fulfilled those contracts. They got paid. But there's a big difference if you are totally into something or if you're doing it because it's your job, because it's a contract, because it feels like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And it's just made all the difference. And remember, the Wright brothers were the ones that had the first flight because they went all in. They did 100, where these other guys were giving it what the contract said. They were being fair. They were doing their 50% or their 20% or whatever their part was. They were doing that, but they weren't exceeding that. And no one had that passion and that commitment to make sure that flight took place and flight happened. The next one is an exciting one, and that is the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. And they played the Soviet Union. Now, the Soviet Union, they were far and away the favorites. These guys were adults in their 20s and 30s, full-grown athletes, just built. They were like a machine, a military machine. But they all did their fair share. They did their role. They did what their coach told them to do. They weren't into this because of patriotism or those types of things. It was like, I'm doing my job. I've been trained to be a hockey player. I'm going to be a hockey player. Whereas Herb Brook, the coach of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team, he had these guys go all in, even though they were only college students, even though they weren't maybe as developed physically as a Soviet team. They hadn't practiced as much with them as the other team had. But they went all in. They played with their heart. They played with their passion. They were committed to this. And so it showed you where the sum is greater than the individual parts. If you looked at the Soviet team, you would put all those hockey players and say, man, they were better than the Americans. But collectively, the American team played better. So it's not who's the best team, it's who played the best. And in this case, the Americans went all in. They were fully committed. They gave 100% everything they had versus the Soviets, who it was more like a contract, a business, a job, that type of mindset. And that was the huge difference there. The third group I want to look at is the Founding Fathers. I don't know if you really realize when they signed the Declaration of Independence, that was basically signing their life away in an act of treason. If Great Britain would have won, they certainly would have been tried for treason and executed. But when they signed their name on that, on the Declaration of Independence, they knew this isn't just like, well, I hope this works out. No, they knew they were risking their property, their families, their own lives, their reputations, their wealth, everything. They were risking everything. They went all in. And by going all in, they created an amazing democracy that we have with an economic system with the free markets that have allowed this country to be one of the greatest in the world. So if you look at what they didn't make a deal with England and say, okay, let's compromise, let's kind of make a deal where we split. No, they went all in. They're like, we got to do something different. We got to make this better. And when they created the Articles of Confederation, which was the first form of national government, they did that for a while. After about a decade, they realized, this isn't quite what we're wanting here. So by the end of the 1780s, instead of tweaking and tinkering with the Articles of Confederation, they created the Constitution. And just realize what that did. They created a Constitution that was a living document. It had amendments. They thought ahead. And it had something where, again, they went all in. They didn't just tinker and go halfway. And I think that's the thing that I really want you to realize, is that they took this bold leap. They went into it with 100% commitment, just like the hockey team, just like the Wright brothers. And when you look at the examples in history, the ones we remember, the ones that turn into amazing stories, are the ones that people went all in. They weren't hedging their bets. They weren't thinking about, am I getting a fair deal? No, they just went all in because they knew it was the right thing to do. When you give 100%, something magical happens. You break the cycle. Your energy, your effort, and your commitment spreads to others. A question for you is, where in your life are you playing 50-50 when you could be going all in? To help you better see the comparison, let's look at transactional and transformational in 4 different areas. First, transactional marriage. I'll love you if you love me. Here, you're measuring your effort, and it leads to stagnation and resentment. If we compare that to transformational marriage, I'm all in no matter what. Trust and depth skyrocket when we're all in. On transactional leadership, I'll inspire my team if they show commitment first. On transformational leadership, I go all out and inspire them through my example. On transactional improvement, I'll work hard if success is guaranteed. In transformational improvement, I give my best no matter what. This creates breakthroughs, not just incremental progress. In transactional fitness, I'll work out if I see quick results. This leads to inconsistency and frustration. On transformational fitness, I stay disciplined because my health is worth it. My long-term commitment will lead to my vitality. Let's look at an analogy where your relationship is like a cake. When you're making a cake, is each separate ingredient by itself amazing? Like if I gave you a spoonful of flour, would you just go, yummy? Or would you prefer that the ingredients in the cake, the butter, the flour, the sugar, the eggs, all got mixed in there together, then they got put in the oven, heated up, and came out, maybe put some frosting on top of it? Would you rather have that, or would you rather have the ingredients separately? Most people would rather have the ingredients put together. That's the same with your life. When you're working with someone else, think of it like a cake. It's a relationship. Do you want to just do your half, or do you want to go all in? Do we want to just put half the amount of flour we're supposed to, half the eggs, or do we want to put all of the ingredients that need to be in there for it to be successful? Because when you go all in, you put all the ingredients in the cake, what happens is it turns from flour and eggs and all this into something new. You get a new thing that's better than what they were individually. So remember, the sum, the total of everything, can be greater when it's combined than when it's individually and separate. In your relationships, and it could be intimate, it could be friendships, it could be any type of relationship you want to look at here, are there sometimes where one person has skills, talents, abilities that are different than yours, maybe at work, and then you have a different set of interests, talents, skills, and abilities. But when you combine those two together, you get something amazing. And it's not necessarily that you're splitting things right down the middle, but you're bringing the best of you. You're bringing your authentic, true self into the picture, going all out, and the other person is doing the same thing. Then when you mix those two together and combine them, you get something amazing. This isn't a scientific fact, but it's my opinion by watching things and seeing successful teams and successful organizations. When you go 50-50, what adds up is 100, right? But when you take 100, I'm going 100% in, you're going 100% in, that's where the magic happens. And I think in what I see is it changes from addition to multiplication. So you're going from 50 plus 50 is 100 to 100 times 100 is 10,000. So it's 100 times greater when you go all in and you give it 100%. That's where that magic happens. That's why when we look at some teams or individuals or groups, or organizations, businesses, why do they keep having success year after year after year after year? They've put things in place where they are going 100%. One person that I've read his book, and I should probably make some videos on it, is Ray Dalio, and he's in the financial industry. And he created systems in his organization of investing where people are literally going all out. They're giving 100%. Because sometimes you don't even know what 100% is until you max out. I know I was with my fitness trainer the other day and I was doing some push-ups, and on one of the reps I just couldn't do any more. And she was like, that's okay. You just you maxed out. You did what you could. You fatigued the muscles, and that's fine. Now I know what my cap is, or at least what it was on that day. But too many of us, we don't push that. We don't give 100%, so we don't know what our capacity is. And if you don't push it, you're never going to expand it and have it get bigger and bigger, because you're just going to stay in your little comfort zone. I am not a scientist, a mathematician, or anything of that nature. But when I look at things and I look in nature and I see what happens there and how can that apply to us, I see things like when you have two waves, it could be ocean waves, it could be frequency waves, any types of waves. When these two waves come together, they amplify each other and they can double it or more when the waves are in sync going together. And if you look at yourself and another person, have you ever felt when you get in sync with someone, you're in sync with them and it's like, wow, this is really working. This is really going. Something that I didn't think was possible is possible. What's happening there is your frequency and your waves are in sync, and you're actually getting more than you could by yourself because they're there. I know myself, I've been around some people, I just feel good, my energy feels good, I feel like I'm getting a lot of stuff done, it's just productive, or we're just having a lot of fun, whatever it might be, but they amplify the situation. If you look at an opera singer, how do they shatter a glass? It's the waves and the frequency are amplifying, and it's creating that. Could they do it without the amplification? No. The next one I want to look at is a chemical reaction. When you have hydrogen and oxygen, I know it's H2O, not just one hydrogen, but when you have hydrogen and oxygen, you put those together, you get water. So you get two different things that when they're combined, and are they combined evenly, 50-50? No, it's H2O, right? It's two hydrogens. So, but when they combine those, we get one of the things that we need to live, and that's water. So look at that in nature. When things combined, they create new elements. The other thing is, if you take sodium and chlorine, again, I'm not a scientist, but sodium and chlorine, and you put those together and it'll create salt. And that's what we use for table salt for our food and things like that. So it's so important to realize that when you take things and you put them together, you can actually create something completely new. I know for myself, teams I've been on, groups I've been with, the ones that really stand out to me were the ones that, wow, there was something special there. There was some chemistry. There was some, just everyone was going all out. It was fun. We were pushing the limits, seeing what we could do. And then I can think of other groups where we kind of hedged our bets, we kind of held back, and it wasn't that great. So these two examples in life with the waves and then the chemical reactions putting together to create something new give us a glimpse into what's possible for us when we, instead of going 50-50, when we go 100-100 and we go all out, what's possible. Where are you holding yourself back? Where do you need to stop waiting and start leading? A couple quotes I like that fit in here. One is from Aristotle. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Next one is from Phil Jackson, who won 11 NBA championships. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. The third one from Harvey Firestone. You get the best out of others when you give the best of yourself. Last is Abraham Lincoln. Commitment is what transforms a promise into reality. The most extraordinary breakthroughs in history were by people who didn't give just enough or their fair share. They were by people who went all in. They gave it their all. Maybe they failed, maybe they succeeded, but they went all in, and they created more amazing things that we take for granted today than all the other people who just went half in or kind of did their fair share. So when you're looking at yourself, say, where is an area of my life that I can just, I could do some more. I could give some more. I could be more creative. I could put more energy into this. I could go more all out instead of holding back and having everyone kind of do their fair share. But then we're in the mediocre stage, and no one really likes that. Like, how many of you want to have an okay meal? You want to have an okay friend? You want to have a okay bed that you sleep in? No, we all want great, right? So let's bring that greatness out of ourselves by giving 100%. There are times that I've given 100% and I failed. Was that painful? Yes. Did it make me question myself? Yes. But I think too many of us hold back and don't go all out because we want to say, well, I could have given more effort. I could have focused more. I could have done a little bit more here or there. And in some way, we give ourselves a psychological escape hatch. When we don't go all out, then what we're doing is we're saying, well, I could have done that. I probably would have won the game, or I could have had this happen, or I could have got this business deal, or whatever. I could have made that sale. I could have done it if I would have tried a little harder, if I would have focused a little more, that type of attitude. And really what that does is that just guarantees that you're not going to succeed. When you don't go all out, it guarantees you're not going to succeed because you think, oh, that's giving me a psychological safety net to feel comfortable, to know to myself, like, well, if I didn't procrastinate so much, well, if I didn't delay things, if I would have focused more, if I would have done whatever I needed to do, if I would have done it, then I could have succeeded. But the truth of the matter is you didn't do it. And why not put it all on the line and see, if I give my best, if I give it all, and I don't make it, is it really that bad? No. There's going to be a new goal, a new day, a new challenge. But if I don't give it my all, I'm guaranteeing it's not going to happen. An analogy I thought about this was, imagine there's a canyon and you want to get across this canyon and you need to build a bridge. If you built a bridge and built it 50% of the way, you wouldn't ever get across the canyon. Even if you built it 90% across the way the canyon, you would not get across the canyon. It would look like progress. It would look like you're putting a lot of effort into it, but it wasn't effective effort. It wasn't effective energy. The only way you're going to get across that canyon is if you build the bridge and have it go all the way across, 100% across. Holding back guarantees failure. You'll never know what you are capable of. You'll be living below your potential, and you'll be letting fear dictate your life. The most successful people, athletes, leaders, business people, they all experience failure at 100%. But they don't see it as their identity. They see it as information. They see it as a way to improve and get closer to mastery. Many of us don't go all out because we know if we go all out, we'll have one of our greatest fears come to life. And that is the deep fear that many of us have, that I'm not enough. If I give it my all, if I put it all on the line, I just put it all out there and I fail, then we'll feel like, oh man, that's validating me that I'm not enough. My worst fear is coming true. Because if you feel that you're not enough, then it ties into a a ripple effect here where you feel that you're not worthy of love, you're not worthy of other people admiring you. There's just a whole host of things when you don't feel like you're enough. But what if you could just let that go? What if you could let that go and say, I am enough no matter how the stakes are. I don't care what the results are. Yes, do I want to get across the bridge? Do I want to make this? Yes. Am I going to go 100% and go all out? Yes. Even if I fail, but I'm going 100%, that is a much better way to live than hedging your bet. Hey, I'm really curious what you think about this. These are observations I've had with myself and working with others and just observing things. But I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think my idea of the 50-50, does that make sense? Do you see areas in your life where you are holding back? Do you think that this is a bunch of hogwash and that, no, you can't do that or it doesn't make any sense? Whatever it is, I would like to know. Put a comment in there. Tell me that you think, man, this is amazing, or I'm a complete moron for coming up with this. Either way, I'm good with it. But I really would like your comment on what you think. Because at the end of the day, you only grow by pushing your boundaries, by expanding things. And I'm only going to get better at this with your feedback. I do appreciate you that send me emails, but I'd also like comments in the comment section. Just tell me what you think of this. Did it speak to you? Did it make sense? Are there parts of this that you think, well, you're off a little bit here? I'd love to hear all that. Hopefully this did help you. Hopefully it gives you some stuff to think about. Please remember to hit like and subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you in the next video. All the best to you.